a few years ago, a couple of us came together to feel what we felt was a void in African literature. The fact that people don't write much sex. People try to shy away from it. Somebody said something about Things Fall Apart, how the sex that happened there was more like, and Okonkwo was a man of a few words, and that's the sex in Things Fall Apart. But Okonkwo went on to have so many kids, but he's a man of a few words. So this anthology was like an answer to that, to sort of get Africans to really appreciate the fact that, like they said in the panel before, it's almost impossible for a man to meet a woman, to fall in love, and for sex not to happen. And not the few words kind of sex, but the main sex. So I will pass this on to Yewande to talk about the project then before we get into the meat of it.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who's here, who's come. So really what happened was a bunch of us did the Farafina creative writing workshop that happens every year. We did ours in 2012, was it? And there were a bunch of us. It was an amazing experience, and we really connected, which is what I assume happens in most of these workshops, not just Farafina, but in most workshops. The workshop takes place over 2 weeks or something like that, right? So over that time, we engaged with each other's work, and when we were leaving, we made sure we'd keep in touch using all the various networks. And at some point, I can't remember whether it was while we were there in the 2 weeks or after, while we were there, we thought, let's do something. Let's not just have left and do nothing. Let's write and let's put together our own anthology. Let's at least do the work and have the material, and when we get the material, we'll find a publisher. So it was a really great exercise, because often you're like, oh, you know, you're sending your work through to other anthologies. And we said, we'll make up our own anthology. Here we have, you know, young writers, let's do that. So we challenged each other. We said, what's the theme? And as Mazi was explaining, we thought sexuality would be interesting to explore, which is what we've done in this collection. The collection, the people who contributed are all from the workshop, but not everybody that was in the workshop contributed, if you know what I mean. Some people couldn't make it, or weren't committed enough. It was quite a long process. This was eventually published in 2014. So it was 2 years of quite a bit of work. We had to keep in touch. We all lived in different parts of the world, or at least of the continent. But some people were off the continent, I think. We had to keep in touch through email. We set up a structure where we took the 12 months or 13 months, and each month we would commit to one author. So you send in your story, you'll get all our comments and feedback, we'll read it, you'll then take it away and work on it. And we said we'll do as many rounds as we needed to. So I'm just mentioning this because what I'm really proud of is our commitment to the craft, our commitment to quality. At a certain stage in the process, we then said, okay, we need a new pair of eyes, because we've all been looking at all our stories for so long. We need a new pair of eyes. We found that in the great talent of Chinelo Onwalu. She accepted the job. We got the money together amongst ourselves. We paid her. She took our manuscript and she edited it and sent back comments, which we then took into account and went through one last round. And then once we were happy and said, okay, we then knocked on Farafina's door and said, hey, us again. And, it's turned out. So that's the story of the project. And there are a bunch that aren't here, but there are 4 of us that are. And in the absence of the other writers, just to really acknowledge what it took, to get it done.
Okay, so and I want to say something, or should I just go ahead? Okay, 4 of us are here. Kechinomu, Mazingongu, Nana, Yewande. Others who are not here, Martin Chinagorom, he's in the US now. Chika Odua, somewhere in the north, I think, or out of Nigeria. She's here and there all the time. I think Chika won the CNN Journalist of the Year award this year. There is a Mona Opubo. Mona is Indian, married to a Nigerian, American, not American Indian, but she's Indian American, from the Indian subcontinent, married to a Nigerian. She moved back to Lagos that same year, 2012. She's in Lagos now. Then Ejike Kanife. Ejike Kanife He's probably one of the funniest guys we had when we were at the workshop, as it was the life of the workshop. AGK writes very, very well. One of those guys who there's this talk about humor not being part of writing in Nigerian literature. AGK is one of those guys who it comes so natural to. He writes and you'll be busting your head off with laughter and he'll be looking at you, but why are you laughing? And that's what you find in much of his writing, also with the story he sent in here. Samuel Kolawole is somewhere in the US, I think. Okay, South Africa now. So Samuel, of all of us who went to the workshop, with the exception of maybe Yewande and maybe Nana here, is probably one of the most traveled writers that went to the workshop with us. He took it to the next level after the workshop. I'm here, Nana is here. Monique is from Cameroon. Monique has actually done very, very well for herself since the workshop. Efembe Eke won an award after the workshop, I think, but I've not heard from her for a long time. Richard Ali is the co-publisher of Parisha Books, so he has a story here too. Esse is now in the US, Canada, US, same thing. And he went, yeah. So what we would do basically is just to, the books are all on sex, sexuality. That's the theme. So everybody strives to write what they felt comfortable with. So you have queer sex, you have the normal sex, you have marriage issues and all that stuff. So I think what we would do is just read maybe excerpts from maybe like five minutes each. Then we take your questions and we go on with it. Yeah. So who is going to go first? Yeah, Kechi starts. No.
Hello everyone. The idea for this story came practically out of nowhere, because it was like a pressure thing for me because we had that conversation in the bus. I remember I was in the bus that day. We're going back to the hotel and I think it was Nana who brought up the idea. Let's write something. Yeah. Let's do something. Let's just not waste the camaraderie and then. So Nana came up with the idea. Let's not waste this camaraderie. Let's do something with it. And then we said, why not a short story collection? And then what will we write or what will we work on? What will be the unifying theme? And somehow we arrived at sex and sexuality. So then it was what to write, how to go about it. I basically just sat in front of my laptop and then just let my fingers take me anywhere they were going to go, and so Be Happy was born. So basically I'm reading from the second page of the story, or however. And let me just give you a sense of the story so you understand, when I just jump in there, you understand where I'm at the story. That's just page 3, everybody, if you want to be there. Page 3. So anyway, that was it basically. I was thinking, for a long time I've been thinking about a kind of woman who, she's in a patriarchal society, but then she feels like she wants to single herself a little bit, and she's toying with the idea of separating herself from the fold of everybody. And to do this, it's not necessarily that she was premeditating the thing and saying, I'm going to cheat on my man, but it was for economic reasons. She began to be promiscuous. And then after she got married, she continued to be promiscuous. And so I was just thinking about what happens to a woman like that in a marriage, and how social sanctions are, there's double standard in that kind of thing. So you have, if a man cheats in a marriage, it's definitely different. And if a woman cheats in a marriage, then she feels like she has to make up for something, or she feels like she has to suffer some kind of penance. So those were the ideas in my head when I was thinking of this story. Let me just read. Aside from the occasional big men who still pulled up their cars to offer her lifts that she did not decline because she liked what these lifts meant, because they were like acts of validation. Ebere only slept with the big men who came to the ministry where she worked looking to get big government contracts. These men were slightly different versions of the men she had slept with in her university days. richer, rounder, and stingier. They did not just want to sleep with her, they wanted her to take care of their contract papers. When they won this contract, they gave checks and foreign wine to our Oga, and then they gave her small envelopes full of crisp notes to thank her for her help. Ebere always took their cash, cheerful, saying, thank you, Daddy. Greet Madam and the children, to the men. And then she had affairs with the persistent ones, brief affairs tucked in between office hours. In hotel rooms that started to blur into one another after a while, she let those men fuck her, their mostly soft big bellies pressing into her, jiggly, as they hurried towards pleasure. And later, at home, she did not think about them. She lived out the daily routines of her life, the minutes in the hotel distant so that it felt unreal, so that the woman on those beds seemed to her as she moved about the flat, making dinner, attending to the children, attending to Charlie, foreign. Then Charlie found out about the affairs one Sunday evening. It was raining that day, so that if he had chosen to shout, the neighbors would not have heard really. But he did not shout, and he did not ask her to leave. He did not tell her to leave. Calmly, he put the children in the Opel and drove away with them, leaving Ebere to wait, terrified, sick with worry. She worried that the children needed to be home in time for school the next day. And then she worried that he had driven them off the third mainland bridge into the lagoon. And then she felt outrageous for thinking this. When she heard a car sound or voices, she rushed to the window to look. She did not call any of Charlie's friends to ask. She knew she could not. She just waited in a terrible state of flux. When he came back, it was very late and he was with her mother. Nothing much was said. Ebere hovered, waiting, offering to take the sleeping children from the car. And when she was brushed aside, offering to make something for her mother to eat, even though she knew that her mother would have long eaten dinner. When finally her mother said, "Go and get your things, Nne," she did not protest. I'm going to stop there.
Nice. Okay, so we are going to kind of speed things up. Yewande, we probably need to take paragraphs instead of full chapters.
Okay.
Yeah, Nana, so you.
Okay. I'm going to read from page 104. It's the last by one paragraph. And, you know, when I started the story, I was trying to focus on the woman, which I always try and do. And then the feedback from Chinelo made me focus on the man. So I'll basically say this is a man having a midlife crisis. And he's in a club, he's gone to a club where he would usually go and sort of pick up women. "My name is Estelle," she said. The tight pink dress she was wearing kept riding up as she whined, and with his hands around her hips, Kweku could feel the 5 strands of her beads. She was just her spec. Not too tall at 5'3", and just enough ass to compete with Beyonce in the bootylicious department. Well, her blonde weave was not exactly to his taste, but it was best to lower your standards ever so slightly on ladies' night. Around 2 a.m., the tempo of the music slowed right down, and the DJ moved into the lavish rock section of the night. As Beres Hammond sang "I'm in Love," Estelle put her arms around Kweku's neck, whilst he kept his hands firmly on her ample behind and said, "Do you want to take this party elsewhere?" She smiled and nodded. "My car is parked around the corner," he said. Kweku held Estelle's hand as they walked to the car. He wondered how old she was. It was hard to tell a woman's age nowadays. She definitely wasn't underage. He suspected she was anything between 25 and 30, but "How old are you?" wasn't a question you could blurt at 2:30 a.m. when you had a throbbing in your pants and a hot woman on your arm. He wondered where he could take her. He had been a bit too extravagant earlier on, and now only had 100 cedis to his name. Was she worth driving to an ATM for? And which hotel could he take her to? The African Regent was the closest, but he and the family had brunch there every Sunday. And besides, you never knew who you could bump into there.
right. I'll go quickly, and then you go, Mazi. Okay. So my story is the very last one, and it's essentially about a woman possibly very sane or possibly not. You know, we never know whether we're the ones that ought to be in the asylum and the ones that are in it ought to be out. I want to know things, I told the good... Oh, page 175, sorry. Second paragraph. I want to know things, I told the good doctor. It was about the 5th visit. She thought I meant Jeremy. Has he stopped? She asked. Do you believe he's stopped? She's not a very good therapist, Dr. Needles, but then again, I don't think I need a good one. I'm not like other people looking for the best of everything. Yes, Jeremy has stopped now. I believe him, and I've stopped trying to picture what I think happened. The image I had, that the woman would lie, her body writhing, because that's what the body does when it's in heat. The soft body, smooth with sticky wetness between her legs. She would be on a couch. Maybe they did it in his office. I know Jeremy has a brown leather couch because he asked me to pick it out when he moved offices. I picked the couch you took my husband on, I would say to her if I ever got to look her in the face. Dr. Needles likes this, so I continue. The woman is on the couch. She's dressed like you'd imagine. She's a cliché, dressed in something black with holes in it, flowery loops. He can slide his hand and uncover her nipples in one motion. Her skin is tight and brown, and her nipples are bumpy and black. Too big, maybe, for my husband's little mouth, but he tries. And she has her hands, and she spreads her fingers over her vagina, holding it as if she would pour away from the violent rocking of ecstasy if she didn't. Later, he finally comes out loud, and she whispers something, maybe in Xhosa, except if she's Zulu, then it will be in Zulu. And he'd leave her alone to recover, kiss her maybe, and wrap her in something.
So I just as others were reading, I went through my story. I was trying to see if I had one short chapter. Apparently I don't. So I'm just going to read from somewhere and I take it here. So I'm going to read from page 87, from the top of page 87. So I'm a science fiction buff. So that's what I do. And every opportunity I get, I want to talk about science fiction. I want to talk about fantasy. I co-founded Omen and I science fiction, speculative fiction website. And it was this, I could say this anthology was the oil that cemented the food. Because it was after Chinelo read the story I had on this anthology that we started talking about funding a website like that together. So we run it together now. Background, it's in the future, it's Lagos. A future where people have extra powers, powers that come from genetic manipulation and the rest of them. Okay, I said it's in the future Lagos, and in that Lagos we have people who have extra whatever kind of powers you call it, superpowers, from genetic manipulation. So the main character here is Alpha. So let me just read what Alpha is saying. So the first day I met Anna, I was following my eyes. My eyes were following her. As I placed the pad of one foot in front of the other in the sure-footed warts that was part natural and part result of years of state training, I could hear my heart beating within its cage. How that was possible amidst the buzzing of traffic and the electro-Fuji emanating from a music mat opposite the busted up traffic pipe box about 50 meters ahead of me didn't matter to me. Truth was, it was normal for me to hear my heart beating, and I'll be very surprised if I couldn't under the prevailing circumstance. My heart was not so different from the average human's. There are some differences. All genetically enhanced human beings are different in one way or the other. But I guess it's not so strange that I could quicken or slow the rate of my heartbeat at will. Considering all the differences between one person and the next, how fingers could be shorter or longer, skin hues that are darker or lighter, and eyes in more shades than you could count. I've been following her for about 10 minutes, ever since I spotted her well-rounded posterior as I stepped down from the shuttle that brought me into the city center from my home in the outer suburbs. No, I haven't seen her before. but I had always been a victim of my wandering eyes. Once my eyes saw, my legs followed. I was struggling to control my heart, which was pumping hard, a consequence of the hot flush that had just begun moving from my chest towards my groin. The hot flush threatened to become an agonizing heat with each step I took to close the gap between my query and I. I walked a little faster as the heat spread across my middle, clawing deeper. My finger itched to grab her bum. In my mind, I already had her bent over the low work table that occupied the corner of the former interrogation cell I used as a bedroom. With my fingers sinking deep into her ample behind, I was ready to thrust into her. I could taste her salty skin and her scent filled my nose. I licked my lips, savoring the imagery that it conjured. My palms were calming. The image that I was sure was her face enlarged in my mind. I felt sweat drip from my armpit to soak into the loose-fitting cotton shirt. From the back pocket of my tight jean trousers, I pulled out a rose-scented kerchief and wiped both palms before dabbing my forehead and neck, paying close attention to the back of my ears. I hope the rose scent neutralized odor as well it was supposed to. So let me stop there. Yeah, so we could just take one or two questions, then we don't have much time, so that's why I had to rush. Yeah. Okay, so
Mills and Boons and very pornographic or just gratuitous flesh sometimes, right? And so, how do you I don't want to say taste because that's silly, but just sort of, how do you still maintain your writing and your craft and the art of it without, because I think, it becomes easy for it to just become gratuitous and to fall into tropes, him, the tall, dark man, and his muscles rippling, and, that those kind of tropes. So how did you manage to do that? What were you aware of as you wrote?
For me, I think I'm not really interested in that, so I really trust in my own kind of writing sensibility and my own ideas of craft that I would, because those sound like cliches to me. And so I'm not interested in exploring that. I'm interested in exploring different images. So I would really hope that I avoid that, purely based on my own aesthetic preferences. Sorry, and I'm done. So.
Yeah. Okay. I think for me, I'm really interested in sex and sexual relationships, and also telling a story. I think for me, I just like to give the detail and the flavor to sex, because I feel very disappointed when I'm reading a book and it's really good. And the whole thing about writing is you've got to give a lot of good detail. And then when it comes to sex, it's like there's no detail, right? So I think for me, that's the only kind of difference. Actually, also recognizing that sex deserves detail as much as describing a room, you would give the detail and the flavor and the taste. So that's what I try to do.
Okay, I would say same goes for me in more ways than one. But I think I tend to think more about the story. The sex happens the same way it happens in real life. So I'm not concerned about if it sounds like M and B. If M and B reflects real life, fine. But I think the story is the most important thing. So it's about the character. It's about sex just being a part of what they do. So it's not like sex is the major trope that the story relies on. So it's like every other thing they do. So sex is one of the natural, the same way it comes natural to all of us. So it's just part of who we are. So that's what I try to convey. Yeah.
Basically, I think that with this collection, we were open to any of the possibilities of what it means to write about sex and sexuality. So it wasn't, if somebody wanted to write something that was super gratuitous, it was okay. And then somebody wanted to write something that was really tame and, almost had no sex in it. So we really wanted to give, put in fiction, in fictional form, all of the different kinds of possibilities that sex and sex writing holds. Yeah. So basically it was that.
Yeah. Another question. Okay.
You were talking about a woman that was trying to do these things aside from her marriage home. So my question is she really, since she has done it in her university days, is she really like that kind of prostitute or something? Yes, that's all.
I think I'll say yes, but it's not what you think. Because, no. So what I just have to qualify the yes. I mean, I'm always present in all my stories. So there's no way that I'm not, and it'll be disingenuous of me to suggest that I'm not.
Yeah. As somebody who, blogs about her sexual experiences and then started to write fiction, it's almost impossible for me to write a story which doesn't have an element of me. But then what I've had to try and learn to do as a fiction writer, and which is hard for me, and is a continuous challenge, right? Because what makes fiction interesting is because you have to use your imagination. Yeah. So it's been trying to break away. So when I first started, and the very first version of this, the main woman is called Ifua, which is even my name. And I mean, that's how unimaginative I am. And then after getting the sort of feedback, I had to really change the focus, and then I had more non-fiction, more fictional elements in it. Yeah.
I would say yes and no. Okay, for this story, the main character is female. I'm pretty sure people didn't know it was a woman I was talking about. It's a woman, and it's relationship between a woman and a woman. So a girl sees a girl with a big behind, started following her until a lot of stuff happened after that. So it's something I do. I like big behind. My wife knows I do. But she knows I like it just for the visual aspect of it and not beyond that. I'm a deep African man. So that's probably a part of me that went into the story. Yeah. So, but I think it's like they say, it's impossible for you to write. It's almost impossible without yourself being the writing. Probably won't tell anybody that this is me. And probably if you ask an average writer, they won't tell you this is me. Yeah, but it's almost impossible for you to write and not have a part of you in it. So, Kechi.
So any need to answer or just go straight? I think they've answered, they've answered all that. So, if I get your question correctly, you were asking if because she has been doing all of this before, is she like a prostitute? Is that the question, or did I get it? Yeah. I don't know that prostitute is the word you would use, or you could use that, but what she was is what Nigerians call a runs girl. So she just engaged in some kind of transactional sex. She was doing it for money. In my head, that's how I imagined her anyway. And I was trying to write about a specific kind of Nigerian woman, that we prefer to stigmatize. So also just sort of like define in a certain way or in a very one-dimensional way when, these are human beings, who, they do this, but that's not all of what they are. And then I kind of like, that's where she came from. So it wasn't so much that she was a prostitute as much as she was a girl who was trying to survive, in Nigeria. And I don't know if that answers your question, but she wasn't a prostitute in the sense of, she's just looking for the next sort of thing. So the next month, she was a runs girl. And you know how complex that thing is in Nigeria. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think we are about done. So sorry that we had to rush this. So that wasn't the plan we had initially when we wanted to start. We're all on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. One thing I always want to say about this book is that I think it's probably one thing that any group of writers who want to get themselves published should follow, because, like we say, a lot of work went into this. Our own money went into it. So we actually paid an assistant editor to work on it, and we all worked on it ourselves. Like we said, we had this point where we pick a story, and for a month, we work on it amongst ourselves. So everybody reads it, you do a rework, you send it in, we look at it again until we got what we have here. When we did this for send to editor, and we are open to suggestions, and we follow the suggestions. So what you have is exactly how the editor wanted it to come out, though we didn't send it back to her for the second point. Yeah, so the editor is very, very important, and that's what I want to say. So any more comments, or we just wrap it up, and thank you. And buy the book, 1,005. Our publisher needs money. So 1,005, we're happy. And read it, they are interesting stories.